Hey, this is I guess part two of the video, and I actually forgot to mention that uh, before I got to the hospital that Thursday, it actually started a little bit on Tuesday, the June 19th. I got fever temperatures around 7 p.m. that night. That was the same day I got the PIC line. And I was able to get a hold of my chemo doctor, and he was able to give me strong antibiotics at that time. The meds works a little bit, but my temperature around 99, which he said it was okay that I didn't have to get ER. It was if I was hitting temperatures of above 100, then but that's when Thursday my condition got worse. So while I was in the ER, also while I was in the emergency room, they had to do CAT scans of my chest, which they turned out fine. And while I was admitted out of the ER onto the oncology part of the hospital, they also did a CAT scan for my head and neck because that's where my cancer was. So also there was nothing out of the norm both times, so it was good. And now that I'm in the oncology building, they were still researching about the infection because it takes several days for that bacteria to grow. The staff have to check my blood pressure, my temperature, my oxygen level. They did that on the hour, every hour through the night. Once I was admitted about in my room for about 10, and they did all the necessary stuff. It started about all that checking up on me started about 12:25 in the morning, and they were really on time. They're on the hour every hour to make sure that I'm not running a fever and that my level of oxygen and blood pressure were where they should be. Good thing they were able to do that, even though I was sleeping and I was tired at the time. I did wake up a few times, but it was no big deal. That was how I was able to look at the clock and tell that they was like, oh, it's 3:25, oh, it's 5:25, it's 6:25. They were really on time and schedule just to make sure that my condition did not get worse. And blood was drawn at 4 a.m. every morning. Basically, the first 3 days, I was just waiting the results, even though they did all that at 4 a.m. every morning. Even throughout the day, they had to check all my levels. I did have a few doctors come in also. The doctor that was in the oncology section, the doctor that handled infections, and my chemo doctor. Good thing good thing my hospital stay was already at where my radiation and my chemo treatments were, so it was a good thing we didn't have to go to another hospital. It was at the medical city of Dallas. And once we find out what it was, I believe it was Sunday by this point. It was Sunday or Monday. They told us E. coli. Now, at this time, I haven't eaten anything in a couple of weeks. Heather and I didn't even know how that was possible, but the chemo doctor did say at least, one of the doctors did say at least it wasn't the PIC line, and it's also possible that the infection could be germs from my own mouth. It doesn't have to be necessarily from me eating meat. It's just like, oh, maybe, it could be the germs in my mouth too. It just somewhere just hit up E. coli. Since they were able to pinpoint what the infection was, they were able to prescribe the antibiotics to fight the infection. And since I would have to be under these antibiotics for a long time, I had to have a midline, which is also similar to the PIC line that was put in my arm before. I had to have another line put in again. It was around the same spot, so I actually have one of the holes actually healed up pretty well now. And I have another one, it's probably from my midline, is still trying to heal up because my body at this time is still taking a long time to heal on a lot of things. So the only difference is that the line was going to be if that was inside, because the PIC line, as I explained before, is quite long. The midline is a little bit shorter, so it's maybe about this long opposed to wider than what I can show on the video. And I was going to have to give my antibiotics for myself. That's why they have the PIC line put in, so that way I'll be able to do this at home in case I get checked out of the hospital sooner than expected. So I actually put the antibiotics in my body for about a week once I was out of the hospital on July 2nd. It was pretty cool. It was like how a nurse would give you meds, like a little mini IV line that was sticking out of my arm. I had to put my own saline in. Then the antibiotics, it came in a little bulb, like a little bubble with a line. I just hooked that up, make sure I sanitize everything. I just hooked that up to my arm. And the bulb takes about 30 minutes to deflate. While I was deflating, all the meds, the antibiotics inside, was just actually going to my body. And that was not that bad. It was pretty easy to do that while I was at home. And it was also, as I mentioned before, it was also great that they distort the fluids when I came into the ER, because it would have made my blood septic and I would have ended up in the ICU. And while they were researching what my infection was, I wasn't allowed to eat just in case whatever could have making it worse. So for a few days, I didn't have any kind of calories intake in me. And also at this time, not to make any matters, where I still have 2 more radiation treatments to go through. Since I'm not able to have them done, I have to delay them a few days until the doctor decides I was able to get back in. Since I was in hospital anyway, I was under quite a bit of pain meds. The fentanyl patch that I mentioned earlier, it was 25. Apparently it wasn't even doing the job, so they doubled the dosage from 20 mg to 50 mg. That was so much pain I was under. And remember I said that fentanyl is more powerful than heroin? Yeah, 50 mgs of that while I was in the hospital. And they also gave me a little button, like I forgot what it's called, like a PLC, where they gave me a button to push every so often for more pain meds to go through. That was also a powerful pain meds. It's also considered a narcotic. Besides the little button, the fentanyl patch, I was also fed other pain meds by mouth from time to time as needed. And I felt a little better by Monday, June 25th. The doctor okayed me to have my last 2 radiation treatments done. I was able to have them finished on Tuesday, June 26th, and my last one, June 27th, of my radiation. I was so happy I was able to do all my radiation treatment, even though the last 2, I needed a lot of help. They had to wheelchair me from my room to the radiation for both of those days, that Tuesday and Wednesday. The nurses had to help me from the wheelchair to the table, but at least they're over with. Yay! All the nurses that took care of me were great at Medical City of Dallas. So it was a great staff over there at the Oncology building, on the 10th floor, and also, I was in the ER, so much props to the whole staff over there. Had so much pain meds. I was still trying to eat with my throat, even though it was really sore. I guess it was the worst sore throat you could ever imagine, and I was not able to swallow. So even though they find out what the bacteria was, and I was able to have calories, I wasn't even able to drink these Ensure shakes, which is, these are really high calorie. And wow, it's probably by 4 or 5 days, so I'm not even sure I even have at least 300 calories in my body since I was in hospital. And that's when the doctor decided to have a feeding to place inside my body, so that way I can have the calories and the nutrition that I needed. But I'll update that on a separate video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.